Russian Foreign Minister Sergey Lavrov on Tuesday called on Western countries to change their approach towards Afghanistan and lift sanctions and other restrictions against the country. The hostile policies of Western countries, which I can't describe as anything else, continue to create serious problems in Afghanistan, Lavrov said, as he opened a regional meeting on Afghanistan in Moscow. We once again urge you to correct this confrontational course, return what has been appropriated, and take responsibility for Afghanistan's post-conflict reconstruction and compensate for the damage inflicted over the past decade, he added. According to Associated Press, Lavrov spoke at the opening of the 7th Moscow format, Talks on Afghanistan, which was set up in 2017 as a platform to discuss governance in the country. He also called for more humanitarian aid to be delivered to Afghanistan, saying, external donors should not attach political conditions to its delivery. Officials from India, Iran, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, China, Pakistan, Tajikistan and Uzbekistan are also taking part in the meeting. This year is the first time a member of the Taliban is in attendance as an official member, represented by Foreign Minister Amir Khan Muttaqi. Earlier this year, Russia became the first country to formally recognize the Taliban's government in Afghanistan since it seized power in 2021, after Moscow removed the group from its list of outlawed organizations.
Серьезные проблемы на афганском направлении по-прежнему создает враждебная, по-иному и не скажешь, политика стран Запада. Они продолжают удерживать суверенные афганские финансовые авуары, сохраняют санкции и ограничения в отношении банковского сектора Афганистана. В очередной раз настоятельно призываем скорректировать конфронтационный курс, вернуть присвоенное и взять на себя ответственность за постконфликтное восстановление Афганистана, за возмещение нанесенного за десятилетия ущерба.
За освещение этой части заседания, которое в дальнейшем...
Подтверждаем категорическую неприемлемость размещения военной инфраструктуры третьих стран на территории Афганистана, равно как и на территории соседних с ним государств под какими бы то ни было предлогами. Силовое присутствие внерегиональных игроков способно привести к дестабилизации и новым конфликтам.
Московского формата консультаций, который по традиции принимает участие... В
гуманитарном содействии нуждается свыше половины населения страны, если конкретно 22 из 39 миллионов человек. 21 миллион не имеют доступа к чистой питьевой воде и базовым медицинским услугам. Еще раз призываем внешних доноров не забывать про афганцев, помогать им и не обставлять гуманитарные поставки политическими условиями. Россия со своей стороны продолжит оказывать и увеличивать гуманитарное содействие Исламскому Эмирату. Обеспечен существенный прогресс и на антинаркотическом треке. По данным Управления по наркотикам и преступности Организации Объединенных Наций, с 2022 года посевные площади и производство опийного мака в Афганистане сократились на 90%. Это отличный результат.
Исламского Эмирата Афганистан во главе с министром иностранных...
Ukraine strongly protests the so-called autumn draft announced by Russia from October the 1st to December the 31st, 2025. Ukrainians under occupation were urged to avoid this process, said Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine. The enemy plans to recruit 135,000 men into the army, in particular on the temporarily occupied territories of Ukraine, in Crimea and parts of Donetsk, Luhansk, Zaporizhia and Kherson regions. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs emphasized that this violates international legal obligations, in particular Article 51 of the 4th Geneva Convention relative to the protection of civilian persons in time of war. The article categorically prohibits the occupying power from compelling persons under its control to serve in its armed or auxiliary forces. Compulsion to serve in the army of the occupying power is a war crime and will not go unpunished, the ministry said. It is noted that the Kremlin will definitely use the recruits as cannon fodder in the war against Ukraine, thereby exposing them to mortal danger. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs emphasized that Russian conscripts have every right not to comply with and sabotage the criminal decree of Russian dictator Vladimir Putin, and Ukrainians are urged to surrender to the defense forces in case of forced mobilization. In this regard, we call on Ukrainians living in the temporarily occupied territories to avoid this criminal conscription in every possible way. In the event of involvement in the war against Ukraine, we urge them to take advantage of the opportunity to be saved through the I Want to Live project and voluntarily surrender to the Ukrainian Defense Forces, the statement reads. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs also appealed to Ukrainians living in the historical Ukrainian lands, Kuban, Starodubshchina, northern and eastern Slobozhanshchina, within the modern Krasnodar territory, Belgorod, Bryansk, Voronezh, Kursk, Rostov regions of Russia, with a request to remember their roots and not to participate in the war against the homelands of their ancestors. Representatives of indigenous peoples of the Russian Federation were reminded that Russia's invasion of Ukraine is not their war, but Moscow's. Moscow is throwing you to seize Ukrainian lands, just as it once seized your lands, and killing you en masse, so that others can live on your lands, the diplomatic agency emphasized. The ministry noted that Ukraine continues to document all violations of international law by Russia. The evidence will be used to bring the Russian military and political leadership to justice. The MFA called on the international community to increase political, diplomatic, and sanctions pressure on Russia. Let us recall that there is serious dissatisfaction with Russian rule in the occupied territories of Ukraine. Here, most men prefer to surrender to the Ukrainian side rather than be forcibly recruited into the Russian army. Such cases are already occurring and are expected to become widespread. Russians are worried about such situations.